Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farrasa Kamila and in this video I want to make summary articles and review the articles that I had read and review. And I have 10 articles in here. The first one is about speech acts and interaction, and second one is pragmatics and a position paper. And the next article exploring the impact of permanent contents on communicative contents. The third is teaching linguistic politeness in classroom interaction, a pragmatic analysis, and the fourth, comparative study of pragmatic failures in English-Chinese communicative interaction based on data analysis, and the fifth is a meta-analysis of the effectiveness of second language practice instruction. The sixth, interlanguage pragmatic development comparative impacts of cognitive interpersonal tasks, and the seven we have has performative in spoken American English. It's a discourse-oriented analysis. And the eighth, the conversational discourse unit, identification and its role in conversational turn-taking management. The nine, it's exposing and avoiding unwanted inferences. And the 10, reapprehending misapprehensions, conversational repair in interaction. So next we're going through the first articles about speech acts. And the purpose of this article is to give a minimal typology of speech acts that overcomes the limitation of fixed speech acts models. And it's emphasizing the role of interaction and context in meaning construction. And the method being used is a theoretical analysis based on a review of existing literature, and it's used to develop an interaction-based framework for examining speech acts in second language pragmatics. And finally, from this article, meaning is not contained in fixed speech act categories but emerges through interaction and contextual factors. An interactional approach therefore provides a more realistic representation of communication. And the benefit for the readers, it helps the readers to understand how pragmatic meaning is constructed in real communication, and it offers insight into the challenges faced by second language learners. The strength is to provide a theoretical contribution and a simplified classification system that makes pragmatic analysis easier to apply in L2 contexts. But the weakness is the framework has not been empirically tested, so it's making its practical effectiveness difficult to evaluate. And the second articles that's exploring the impact of pragmatic competence on communicative competence. The purpose to examine the role of pragmatic competence in communicative competence, as it highlights the importance in effective second language communication. While the method being used is a quantitative survey-based approach, and it's used to assess pragmatic competence and investigate its relationship with communicative competence among language learners. And the findings that pragmatic competence was found to be essential for successful communication, as learners with greater pragmatic awareness demonstrated more effective language use in different social cultural contexts. And the benefit we have here is both it provides a better understanding of how context, culture, and pragmatic awareness influence communication and offers practical implication for language teaching. The strengths of this is represent a clear research focus, logical organization, and strong theoretical support as it's linked to pragmatic competence. The limitation of information as it's part of the weaknesses. The limited information about research instrument, sampling procedures, and data analysis as its methodical transparency and weakens the study's empirical rigor. And the next article is about teacher linguistic politeness in classroom interaction. And the professor's article to examine how teachers use linguistic politeness in classroom interaction. And the method being used is a qualitative pragmatic analysis, and conducted using classroom observation and interviews. It's used to identify planned expression strategies and maxim used by teachers during classroom interaction. The findings we can find in these articles that linguistic politeness function as a form of Facebook management that promotes cooperation and minimizes conflict in the classroom. And the study also showed that the meaning and effectiveness of politeness depends on context rather than fixed linguistic forms. And the benefits it provides insights into how politeness shapes classroom communication and its offer practical guidance for improving teacher-student interaction. The stress is has authentic classroom data as it provided a systemic categorization of politeness such as expression, strategies, and maxims strengthen the connection between pragmatic theory and real-life communication. But the weaknesses is limited by small sample size. And the next article is about comparative study of pragmatic failures in English-Chinese communicative interaction. And the purpose for this article to investigate the pragmatic failures, especially in English-Chinese, and it to identify the factors that cause misunderstanding in intercultural interaction. The method being used is a mixed method using combining questionnaires, interviews, and observation. The data collected also use SPSS and structural equation modeling RSM. And the findings, socio-pragmatic failure was identified as the most common type of pragmatic failure. And the cultural differences, it limited the cultural knowledge and negative pragmatic transfer were found be the main causes of communication breakdowns. The benefit for the readers, it helps the reader to understand when misunderstanding occur in cross-cultural communication, and it highlights the importance of developing pragmatic competence in the second language. While the strengths, it's the combination of quantitative and qualitative methods provides comprehensive analysis, while statistically testing strengthens the reliability of the finding. And the weaknesses, it has sample size for the research as it focusing on medical university students. And the next article it's meta-analysis, and the purpose for this article to examine the effectiveness of pragmatic instruction for developing the language pragmatic competence. And the method being used is a meta-analysis, while in this part the study has more broader learners to be analysis, and it's used to compare the effect of different instructional approaches, different lengths, learning characteristic, and assessment types. And the findings for this article that pragmatic instruction has a strong positive effect on L2 pragmatic competence, and its explicit instruction, along with transparent and high educational level, generally produce stronger learning outcomes. While the benefits for the readers, it provides insights into effective approaches, especially for teaching pragmatics and support the development of more effective language learning programs. While this studies, it synthesizes funding from multiple studies and it applies clear selection criteria, while it examines several moderating variables, increasing the reliability of its conclusion. While the weaknesses for its articles, the analysis includes a relatively limited number of studies and focuses mainly on English learning context, which may restrict the generalizability of the findings. The next article sets about interlanguage pragmatic developments. And the purpose is to examine into language development in second language or auto acquisition, as it explains how learning errors, facilitation, and language transfer contribution to the learning process. And the method we use is theoretical analysis based on literature review and conducted using previous studies and learning corpora and error analysis. One of the findings we can find in this article: intelligence is a dynamic system that evolves through exposure and practice. And learning error follows systematic patterns that reflect language development, while fossilization can hinder progress toward full proficiency. The benefit we have: it helps the reader to understand how second language learners develop linguistic competence, provides insight into the role of errors and language transfer in learning. In this trends, the article offers a clear theoretical framework and effectively connects error analysis to language teaching. One of the weaknesses we can find in this article: it has lack original empirical data and it relies on secondary sources. And the next article is about Hedge performative in spoken American English. The purpose to investigate the discourse function of Hedge performance in spoken American English, as it examines how they contribute to meaning and interaction. The method being used is a corpus qualitative analysis, as it studies the collocational patterns, frequency, and functional categories on Hedge performative in authentic conversation. The finding is Hedge performative function not only as devices for softening statement, but also as tools for emphasizing meaning and organizing discourse, and their interpretation depends on context, conversational alignment, and speaker intentions. The benefits it provides: how speakers convey nuanced meanings and manage interpersonal relationships through linguistic choices in conversation. And the strengths: it has authentic corpus data and it's provided detailed functional analysis, strong evidence for understanding the pragmatic roles of hedge performances. Among the weaknesses you can find, this is mainly focusing on specific expression spoken American English, so it's kind of limiting about the variety and context for the English age. Well, the next article is about the conversational discourse unit. The purpose for this article to investigate how discourse segmentation influences conversational turn taking and to introduce conversational discourse units, or it's called CDUs, as a framework for analyzing speaker transition. The method being used is a corpus-based analysis conducted using six face-to-face conversation, syntactic, prosodic, and pragmatic units were manually identified and analyzed using statistical tests, as it used to examine the relationship with turn-taking patterns. Well, the finding is pragmatic boundaries were found to be the strongest predictors of turn-taking, as it followed by prosodic boundaries, while syntactic boundaries had a weaker influence. And it also shows that conversational timing depends on meaning connection and collaborative meaning making rather than grammatical competition only. Well, the benefits: it provides a deeper understanding of how speakers manage conversational flow, timing, and turn transition through pragmatic and discourse-related cues. While the strengths for the article: it introduces an innovative analytical framework and it uses authentic conversational data provides clear methodological explanation supported by statistical evidence. The weaknesses it has. The dataset is relatively small, and like previous articles, it has limited to American English and does not consider unfavorable factors such as gestures and gaze that may influence turn taking, as these elements are important in pragmatics. Now we have exposing and avoiding unwanted inferences. The purpose to examine how speakers make unwanted inferences in conversation and to develop a taxonomy for understanding how such meanings are exposed, avoided, and repaired during interaction. It shows a corpus-based analysis conducted using 41 spontaneous English conversation, applied conversation analysis techniques to examine patterns of disclaimers, repairs, and meaningful negotiation in authentic interaction. And the findings show that unwanted inferences are interactionally negotiated rather than solely determined by the speaker's intention. And speakers manage these inferences through disclaimers, indirect responses, and repair strategies, while the benefit for the readers it provides insight into how unintended meanings emerge and how speakers use interactional strategies to negotiate meaning and prevent communication problems. While the strengths, the article offers a systemic taxonomy of unwanted inferences, combines pragmatic with conversation analysis, and supports its arguments with detailed examples from authentic conversation. The weaknesses are the study uses relatively small datasets, and again, it focuses only on English conversation. It gives a limitation for the attention to non-verbal aspect of communication. And now the last articles about apprehension. The purpose to investigate how speakers disclose and repair misapprehension in conversation, being examined how shared understanding is restored through interaction. While the method it used, the study applies conversation analysis to naturally occurring spoken interaction. Detailed transcript were analysis to identify patterns of understanding, disclosure, and repair during conversation. While the finding misapprehension are interactional phenomena that require collaborative repair rather than simple communicative errors, and speakers use disclosure and repair strategies to renegotiate meaning and to restore mutual understanding. While the benefits it provides insight into how misunderstandings are managed in conversation and explain the collaborative processes involved in maintaining effective communication. And the strengths we can find it has a strong theoretical grounding in conversation analysis, and it uses authentic conversational data to provide detailed explanation of repair practices interaction. While the weaknesses for this article, again it uses a relatively small dataset, focuses only on English conversation, and gives limited attention to non-verbal communication cues. Now, the last part we have the connection between the 10 articles that I had before and the 10 articles collectively demonstrate that meaning is a dynamic and interactional phenomenon rather than a fixed property of language, and they show how pragmatic competence develop through learning and instruction, and how meaning is constructed through speech acts, politeness, discourse strategy, and turn taking, as these are all the article I had review, and how communication breakdowns arise through pragmatic failure, unwanted inferences, and misapprehension. And together, the 10 articles, it's highlight that successful communication It depends on the continuous negotiation, interpretation, and repair of meaning within social and cultural contexts. And these are the connection between the 10 articles. And that's all for the review for this article. Thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.